Merry Christmas from me and Kitty Cat. I want to do a big shout out and thank you to everyone who's been watching me for many years, or even if you're new to the channel. It is a pleasure to see you. And we've gone through a lot of kitty cats in our face over a lot of video creation, and it's been a very enjoyable time over the last few years. It's been very stressful sometimes going from games to games, honestly. When, I don't know what I'm going to play, I get bored of one game and I go to another. It can be very stressful because some people want to see some games, some people want to see the other. And trying to balance like the focusing on what you want to do versus what's good for the channel versus the games that are good versus, playing old games like RuneScape that I really just want to play all day that maybe people don't watch and stuff like that. There's been a lot of decisions, I think are the word, that on the channel over the years have been very stressful. And this going into 2023, that's kind of what maybe like a New Year's resolution or something. That's kind of like a lot of what I'm working on going into, like building the van and playing games I want to play again and stuff. I'm just kind of letting a lot of that stress go. I know that's because I've seen it for the years that I've been on my channel. That's stressing about that kind of stuff and worrying about the algorithm and where, titles and thumbnails and what games you're going to play. I'm really just focusing on the YouTube more than anything is typically the correct thing to do for this platform, and it pays off. But for the most part, there is the occasion where I do get quite tired of making my own content, if that makes sense. Like sometimes I get tired of my own stuff that I'm putting out. And sometimes you look at the content you're making and like, this isn't even content that I'm proud of myself. And that's something I've focused a lot on the last like 3 months in particular. Ever since really coming back from TwitchCon in October, I've been focusing in making stuff that I feel like when I watch, it's like, oh, I actually like that video, as opposed to like, okay, I think this is going to get the most views. And I'll be honest, that mindset has only mathematically been worse for me. However, as far as like how I feel about the content I'm creating and how I feel about, waking up in the morning, it feels better. Honestly, it feels a lot better. So maybe some of you guys will get that. Maybe some of you won't. But basically what I'm saying is it's been easier for me lately just to focus on making the stuff I want to make and just kind of having fun with it. And if I don't want to upload a guide video that day, I just upload a meme video or whatever. I do a joke or a boardroom meeting sketch, rip off JGigs or something. Like there's a million different type of videos to make as opposed to just the guide stuff. And I'm kind of going to explore that more in 2023, I think. But for this year, looking back this year, I mean, we made the biggest amount of progress in a year that I've made yet on YouTube. We had the Diablo channel go crazy. We got 38,000 subscribers in a year off the Diablo channel, which was nuts. That channel gets more views than the main channel now. Hopefully we'll break 100,000 subs on one of these channels, one of these years, because I would sure love a plaque on my wall finally. I've been working towards that forever, but hey, if we hit them both channels, hit them at the same time or something a year or 2 years into the future from now, so be it. It'll be a slow grind, but we'll get there. That's kind of the way things seem to work when you get into a project, be it YouTube or be it like this van or whatever. Sometimes you get working on a project and it takes a lot longer than you think. It can take a lot longer to get to where you think you're going to be. And I didn't realize how significant trying to get 100,000 subs on YouTube actually is. Like, I mean, to give you an idea, like in terms of YouTube's, I'm at like 0.1%. Both of my YouTube channels are in the top 2,000 of all YouTube gaming channels, like on the planet. And realizing that for me is actually kind of nuts too, because it's like I don't really consider myself a very big YouTuber, and I'm not, like, realistic, but it's a very snowbally thing where it's like the guys on top are so on top that they're massive, and then there's so many of us little dudes. But the reality is, when I actually look at the numbers and I compare, I've been not only very lucky, but I've had a lot of fans and a lot of viewers that I don't really. I mean, until I do things like the TwitchCon where I fly down to like and meet people, like I don't sitting in this blizzard-filled cabin in Alaska. It's been crazy the last few days. Like even the wire froze over and stuff. Like I don't really get exposure very often to my community that's been built, other than like my Discord and stuff. Like I really don't get that big of an exposure over the years of doing content to the people that have really absorbed and watched my content. but we are actually, in terms of numbers, at like the 0.1% on YouTube. And we've done exceptionally well over the years. Not to say that I'm rich or anything. I'm not. I'm lucky if I make, more than $4,000 a month. I'm feeling pretty lucky for that month, and that's before tax. And I mean, when taxes come, I'm sure going to get cleaned out and all that. But I've managed to survive at least, and with some fun projects and build the studio and all that, just off fucking shit tier YouTube videos. I mean, I don't think any of my content's ever particularly been amazing. I think some of the best content I've ever made is some of my like unmonetized RuneScape stuff that's going out now. Some of the guides back in the early days. The stuff when I was really just focused on like opening shards and having fun with raid were pretty positive and pretty, looking back, were pretty good content. Star Wars Galaxy Heroes was actually pretty good content. I really knew I was talking about in that game. I've had some games where maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit where I've actually made good content, but someone said it on Twitter, and I thought it was very true, which is that you should cringe when you look back at your own YouTube videos, and I do. And there's been plenty of times where I've both put myself out there emotionally more than if I look back, and now it's like I'm a little bit more professional. Maybe I'd be like, well, maybe I wouldn't have made that video. But the thing is a lot of times these videos I've made where it's like I really kind of take the gamble and put myself out there more than I normally would. I feel like have been the videos that maybe I've gained the biggest following from, or people that they end up liking me the most, or from those type of videos. And I think there's kind of a lesson in there, which is that sometimes even stuff that you consider mistakes or stuff that you consider that makes you the most vulnerable looking can actually be your biggest strength. And I know there's some kind of cheesy irony in that, and that's not exactly my original point or anything, but it is something I've noticed in my own story when I look back. I definitely wouldn't have thought I would have made it to where I am. I don't think I've made it very far, but I didn't think I was going to make it this far. I don't know if next year my career dies. I never know if the next game my career dies. I never know if I got to go work at McDonald's, next month. I never know these type of things. But I'll tell you one thing, which is that I'm never going to stop trying. Like this YouTube gig that I've managed to land myself into is 1 in a billion in terms of luck, and I don't think I'm ever going to stop trying to make content, even if it's not because this is better than working somewhere else. It's because I actually love doing it legitimately. Like making videos and talking YouTube has become so much ingrained into my life that I feel like even when I show up to like friends and family, like they just know me now as the guy who's going to talk about YouTube because that's what it's become. And I would say that I begrudge some of that, but I don't begrudge any of it. I actually fucking love it. Like, I love talking about YouTube. I love talking to my other YouTuber friends like Jay Gigs and Brad, and, shout out to Codations and some of these other guys that I talk to on the regular about YouTube stuff and algorithm stuff in particular, because I actually just love it. Which is something I've never had in any of my jobs, which is where anytime I've worked a job, like I worked at Best Buy, worked in the dorms, as an RA, I sold cars, on the showroom floor and stuff. And all of these jobs, anywhere from like wearing a suit to wearing a Best Buy uniform, and like I just hated all of them. Like I hated every second of being there. I hated existing at that job. I hated talking to people. I hated the customers. I hated my coworkers. Like I just fucking hated everything. And a lot of that was me. In fact, 90% of it is me. But I can tell you now, I don't hate this. Don't hate this. And maybe that's not a very high bar where it's like I hate everything else and I can stand doing what I do. But for me, that actually means a lot, where it's like, wow, I can wake up and do this shit every day and like still kind of like it every time I do it. Like that's just so not me. I get burned out of stuff quickly, and I want to go do something. I don't know if I've ever sat in a job this long. The longest job I've ever had was like maybe 3 years, other than this YouTube gig, because I would get into a job and I get bored, I get sick of doing it. I got to do something else. I was always restless, but the YouTube's not that way. I mean, the YouTube's, you wake up every day and it's a new grind and it's a new video to make. Like, you have to have so many every single day. Not only do I have to have one new video, but I have to have multiple new videos, and they all need to be on something that maybe someone wants to watch because I'm running multiple channels. And it's pushed myself mentally and even physically, is, I know, a little bit of a meme, but it really has, in ways that that I wouldn't have expected when I started it. And I think it's been both because I've gotten older over the years I've done it, but also it's been a maturing process of like sitting down and grinding on the YouTube. And to all the people that want to do YouTube, go for it. To all the people that want to know if they should teach their kids to do it, don't. Like it's way too hard of a grind. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. I mean, things that are hard in life are worth doing, but it's there's so much elements of luck and timing and having to know what you. Maybe it's easier for the kids these days than to do it, but it's like I probably wouldn't wish the job that we do as YouTubers onto my kids, just because I know that realistically, like you get like 1 or 2 days off every other month. Like you really kind of can't ever stop making content, or at least not for the style that I'm doing, which is like almost daily vlogs but gaming versions. You really can't ever stop making content, and that can be like both a lonely life because you know you have to sit here in front of the thing every single day, but it can also be like overly stimulating too, where you talk to a lot of people and you got a lot going on and all that. Maybe that's just life in general, but anyway, some thoughts about YouTube and going into the future. Thanks everyone for supporting me over the years. That's kind of where we're at on the channel. I don't really like using the term like I'm happy, because I think that's the term of like happiness is very misunderstood. But I'm satisfied with where we are and the progress we've made, and just kind of how the channel has been over the years. And if anything, I've learned a ton. I feel like I could pretty much start up a YouTube channel at any point this day and maybe make some content off of what I love to do. I've done it with the van. I'm doing it with RuneScape and all that. And it seems like I kind of get it now. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm at for the new year. I don't know if this video made sense at all, but I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a ramble. And love you all. Merry Christmas. Hope you guys are having a good new year. And I will see you for tomorrow's video.